everybody, welcome back to the clinicaltrialsguru.com. Don't mind me, I'm just Snapchatting here, okay? So, I'm big into that this year, and I think you guys should follow me there. You'll see all the social links at the bottom of this YouTube video. And if you're on the blog and you're happy to be watching this, thank you, first of all. And make sure you go to my bio, where you can find all my social media accounts, and of course you can always email me. You can also call or text me anytime, 949-415-6256. So today I got another question. I got two questions today, so I'm doing two quick videos today. So I answered the first one a little bit earlier, and this one, I'm just uploading this to Snapchat. Make sure you follow me there too, Dan Sfera, just like my YouTube username. That is my Snapchat username, okay? Because I publish Snapchat exclusive content there sometimes, so you don't want to miss out. And I know a lot of you researchers are kind of like not sure about how to use Snapchat. Trust me, you want to be there, right? That's going to be the next Facebook, I think. So today's question comes from someone who's trying to open an SMO. And they utilize different PIs in different clinics. What they do is they partner with a physician. They get studies for them, and then they bring in their own coordinators, and they want to know what insurance do they need. Can you just get general liability insurance and use the PI's medical liability insurance, or both, or none? The reason this person's asking is because in the CTA, which is the clinical trial agreement, both liability insurances are required. So yes, typically for most studies, you'll need some kind of premise liability, so otherwise known as trip and fall insurance, right? Anywhere from 1 to 3 million aggregate per claim. And also, they do require $3 million coverage for medical malpractice, right? Now, they won't usually ask for the premise liability, and this is where it can get tricky, because if you're an SMO but you're just sending your staff to a physician's office, you may not need to actually have general liability, because should someone trip and fall, who they're going to go after and sue, if they're of that nature, or if they're so inclined, would be the tenant or the landlord, but usually it's the tenant of the business that's occupying that office space. So it's rarely going to be your SMO, because your SMO, that just happens to be the physician's office that your SMO is working in, one of many, but your name is not on the lease, and technically you're not the one that's responsible for maintaining this kind of liability. Now, with that being said, premise liability is not that expensive. You're talking about $1,200 a year, okay? I think for that kind of peace of mind, just knowing that, hey, should a study participant trip and fall, and should they come after us because they associate that office space with our business and not anyone else's business, I'd like to have peace of mind and have some coverage. You can do that, okay? It's pretty tough to find an insurer that will not be a little hesitant to cover clinical research activities, mainly because they don't understand what clinical research entails, and it sounds like it's risky. So who we've used is the Hartford. All right, I used to use Hiscox. I still use Hiscox for my consulting firm, but as far as like just having general liability, trip and fall insurance, I would go with them, although I'm not endorsing them, and they may or may not actually agree to cover you or write you up a policy based on whoever's doing the file at the time, or whoever's the underwriter. So you may not get covered, but make sure that the physician has, or the company that's operating the space has, trip and fall liability, okay? If nothing else, just make sure they have it. If they don't have it, then you need to get it. If they do, then you can probably get away with not having it, right? It's still a little risky, but you can get away with it. We actually, in some of our clinics, we don't have it, because the landlord actually covers it. And then in some other of my businesses where we act as an SMO, the tenant, the occupying tenant, which would be the physician's private practice, does not have trip and fall general liability, so we ended up getting it. So it really comes down to like each different scenario. Each one's different. Just see what this situation is, and then see if you need it or not, and then see if you can get coverage. All right. As far as medical malpractice, same thing. Now you have to be careful. We use the company called the Doctors Company. You have to be careful that they clearly understand that the physician is going to be doing clinical research. So most doctors already have medical malpractice. I mean, 99% of them are going to have medical malpractice and $3 million in aggregate, which is what pharmaceutical sponsors typically ask for when negotiating the contracts with your site. Now, that rarely covers research activities, right? And you don't want to be in a situation where something happens and then your physician's medical malpractice ends up not covering it because they were never notified that the physician's doing your research. So you may need to notify the insurer that the physician also needs coverage for clinical research activities, and then they're going to ask you questions like what percentage of their time is dedicated to research, how many hours a week, how many patients per week or per month, and they're going to raise the premiums based on the information you give them, right? And this is where you negotiate with your doctor. Say, hey, your premium's about to go up, so we can pay it. We can pay the difference, right? And we've done that before. That seems to work. So, and it may not always be that easy, right? You may have to call 3, 4, 5 different insurers and find out what's going on. And sometimes you need the doctor or the business owner or whoever is managing either the medical malpractice policy of the physician or the general liability policy of the business to call their broker or the agent who drafted their policy and get it done that way, right? Rather than a stranger calling and asking to make changes to policy. So hopefully that helps. I mean, it's definitely not a simple question to answer, and every situation is different. Of course, consult with an attorney. I am not an attorney. This is just my own anecdotal experience that I'm sharing with you guys here, right? Thank you guys for watching. Dan from theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Take care.